Well, the Middle East today is on the edge. What the world was worried about has happened. Israel has hit back Iran with multiple strikes involving 100 jets. Iran says that it now has the right to respond. With countries on the brink of a full-blown conflict, we must ask the question, what is needed for de-escalation and who will push for it? The US has said that it knew of the strikes and is on Israel's side, of course. Keir Starmer has appealed to Iran to not strike back. The Gulf is warning the world against it as well. So who will play peacemaker and where will this conflict go next? What is India's role in de-escalation are some of the things that we will discuss with our guest. Joining us on the show at this point in time is Mr. Alok Bansal, Director of India Foundation. Mr. Surinder Singh Lali, political commentator, also joins us on the program. Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, with us on the show as well. And last but by no means the least, Major General Rajan Kochar, defense expert, also joins us on the broadcast. In fact, I'm going to go to the big screen and try and explain to viewers as to what exactly happened and how this meticulous plan by Israel was articulated. As you know, that Israel is not an exact neighbor of Iran. It's about 1,500 kilometers away from the closest border of Israel, which is right here. A narrow country surrounded by the Arab world, and of course most of them adversaries at this point in time. And this is of course a task which also perhaps must have given Iran some sort of a headway in understanding, because jets going all the way from Israel to Iran would have taken some time and some reconnaissance would have given that away. So these were the fighter jets, the F-35 ADIR fighter jet and the F-15L, the American Ram jets were used, and of course the F-16, the American Sufa airline defense jets, were also deployed to carry out those attacks in Iran just a few hours ago. And like I said, that the distance between these two countries is around 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers, a journey which of course is much faster when you are on a supersonic fighter jet. And these were some of the weapons, the missiles that were used to strike Iran, in which two of their soldiers also died. The Rampage long-range missile and the supersonic missile and the ROX S-2S missile were some of the ammunitions which were used by Israel to target Iran. And of course, some of the cities which were targeted was, of course, predominantly it was Tehran, the capital city, which of course bore the maximum brunt of this attack. There were other cities in and around Tehran that were of course further away beyond Tehran as well, that also saw missiles being struck. And the primary, in fact, agenda for the Israeli attack was to destabilize and target the military bases of Iran and the missile complexes of Iran, which, you know, Israel of course had made it very, very abundantly clear that it would be doing so. The first wave was of course Iran's radar and air defense facilities that obviously would make them handicapped when it came to any kind of a response or even an assessment or ascertaining who's going to attack them and when. The second and the third wave included Iran's missile and drone facilities. Remember folks, the drones have been used extensively by Iran. Some of these drones were also used very recently to target Benjamin Netanyahu. And 3 groups of 30 jets, 10 jets provided cover, and this is how this mission transpired. They kept it very low-key. Like I said, the Americans also knew as to what was to happen, and this was an attack which was highly manicured, highly articulated, and extremely well planned to make sure that the enemy does not get the upper edge. Mr. Bansal, I'll begin with you, sir. If you're there with us, Mr. Alok Bansal. Okay, Mr. Bansal. Not.
Yeah,
Mr. Bansal, I'll begin with you, sir. This is obviously something that was expected on the cards, but the fact of the matter is, Israel could have done more than just strike their capabilities militarily. What Israel could have also done, as a soft way of making Iran realize that they should not be in fact indulging in this kind of a warfare, is to target their economy. target their oil rigs, target their other economic factors, which, the world also knows are abundantly responsible for the wealth that Iran has accumulated in the last few years?
See, firstly, we need to be very clear that this particular attack was a restrained attack under serious pressure from United States, which did not want Israel to carry out these attacks, but attacks have been carried out. You generally don't carry out an attack and say that we have stopped now attacks. Both Iran's attack on Israel and Israel's attack on Iran, if you see, the good thing was that both the countries told that now we have finished with the attack. You generally don't say that if you are actually fighting somebody. The fact is that the United States has been wanting and has managed to prevail upon both the parties that the war should not get aggravated. US is facing an election. In fact, they would have wanted that Israeli retaliation should have been delayed after the election, but Israel has not listened to the United States as far as that is concerned. Because the election in United States is going to be affected by what Israel does. Secondly, attacking oil installations in Persian Gulf was a double-edged sword that could have actually led to a bigger turmoil in Persian Gulf, which no country in the world would have preferred, because Iran has the capacity to block Persian Gulf, irrespective of what anybody else tries. So that's another issue. And of course, how successful was the strike or what has happened? Again, there are different versions, like Iranian attack on Israel, where the attacking side said they had achieved phenomenal success. The defending side said there was nothing. So similar situation we are seeing here also. 2 deaths of Iranian soldiers in this time. Last time there was one Palestinian who was killed in Israel. So basically both sides are catering to their domestic audience, and that is the purpose. Israel, I think the Prime Minister Netanyahu at this point of time is very keen that US elections goes the way he wants. That is, he wants Donald Trump to win. And I think as long as he keeps aggravating the conflict, it will make it difficult for President Biden and the Democrats to succeed. Because unlike the Republicans, the Democrat support base actually comes both sides, from the Jewish diaspora as well as from university students and Arab students who have been very vociferous, demanding that US should support the Palestinian cause.
All right, that's a good point. Both the sides are going to underplay and cater to their own audience. But General Kocher, the fact of the matter is that knowing Iran and knowing that it's got proxies surrounding Israel, it's only a matter of time that a bigger, more severe retaliation is on the cards. And considering the fact that this area is already going through a massive upheaval in terms of the shake-up, the cancellation of flights, the airspace being closed down, what can we expect in the next step? General Kocher, this is for you, sir.
Yeah, okay. Vineet, so very interesting question you have posed to me. What is important to realize is that the intensity of the attack was low-key. It was calibrated in a manner that harsh retaliation from Iran was not warranted, and those kind of signals are also emanating from Iran that I don't think there is going to be a retaliation to this effect, because basically it has been a tit for tat, because the destruction of the missile attacks on Israel by Iran was also not extensive, and therefore I feel that Israel agreed to what the United States wanted it to do, to scale down the attacks, and we are given to understand that 7 places have been struck. Now those kind of places, we also see that there have been no civil areas which have been addressed. They are all the military installations, missile bases, command and control and communication centers. radar and air defense centers. So I think as of now, this matter will rest here for some time, but let us not be drawn into a state of complaisance, because yesterday only there is a news report that United States has deployed the theater high altitude area defense system, which is known as THAAD, and this is about 10 to 12 of them which the United States has, and one of them has been deployed in Israel. So it suggests that the air defense capability of Israel is being strengthened now, because already Israel has got a fairly large array of air defense systems, starting from Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow 3 and on. So we are looking at a scenario right now where tit for tat has taken place, but in the times to come, this contest is going to escalate. And why I say that is because what is happening in Lebanon as of now, what is happening in Gaza as of now, and Yemen, and at the same time there are also reports that Syrian targets have also been addressed, and some of the targets in Iraq. So we see Israel fighting on 7 fronts as of now, and the intensity of 2 fronts is going to be immense, that is Gaza and Lebanon. The Lebanon war which is taking place is not going to be a short war. So if we are talking of the elections in the United States, and we are thinking of a possibility of Kamala Harris coming in, and these operations getting de-escalated, I don't think it is going to happen. The US foreign policy will basically remain the same, whether it is Donald Trump or it is Kamala Harris, and we are going to find the intensity of the Israeli attacks escalating in Lebanon. And one important point of differentiation I would like to bring here is the kind of intensity with which Israel has gone in addressing civilian targets also in Lebanon. It has not done so in Iran. So it is a very well thought out strategy, not to escalate the issue directly with Iran, but at the same time Israel is not going to limit itself in its offensive in the Lebanon or Gaza, and it continues to bombard through its fighter aircrafts, through the missiles and rockets, as well as a ground offensive is also taking place. So I visualize the situation in the Middle East is not going to de-escalate in the near future. As a matter of fact, it is going to escalate. And as far as Iran is concerned, it is a long-term objective of the US as well as Israel. Iran is going to be addressed because, so lastly, I would like to bring the nuclear dimension here, because today the uranium enrichment capability of Iran has almost gone to around 65% as per the intelligence reports, and it has the capability to make 3 to 4 warheads in a couple of days. So in the times to come, if this capability of Iran is not addressed, and Iran reaches 90% in which it can make an atom bomb at will, then the situation possibly for the US will go out of hand. So I think it's only a brief respite as far as this war is concerned. I feel that in about a year or two, Iran is going to be addressed in a much larger scale.
Right. Gautam, your take on what's going on over here. Obviously, this is a part of that elaborate existentialist fight for Israel as well. You know, this is something that, unbeknownst to the world, they've been doing for decades now. But, in this age of social media and whatnot, it's become apparent that this is what Israel has been going through because of perhaps not directly Iran, but largely in the past because of its proxies, and now directly, with and against Iran.
Yes, Vineet, what is happening for the first time in a very long time is an actual tit-for-tat war with Iran, between Iran and Israel. When Israel hits Lebanon or the Hezbollah or the Hamas or Syria, that is fairly common and has been going on for a long time, and it is by way of the proxies. Now, every time Iran is hit, it also vows to retaliate, and then Israel is bound to retaliate again. America is backing Israel to the hilt by way of armaments, by way of facilitation, and by way of diplomatic support. Now, is the end game a matter of disabling Iran's nuclear ambitions? If it is, then it is not likely to be easy if it is done from the outside in, because Iran has long anticipated it and has dug its nuclear facilities inside the mountain, and even very high capacity bombs on the outside will not destroy the facilities deep inside, though there is some talk of being able to bury them so that they are no further use. The people can't get in, can't get out, and that is one possibility. At the moment, America has persuaded Israel to try and limit the attack to basically their radar and their missile sites, which is very useful because both sides are mainly using missiles, and if Israel's missile throwing capacity is hampered, then it makes it more difficult for them to retaliate in the immediate future. However, this is going to go on because I think the real point of a direct war with Iran is to cripple it once and for all in terms of its nuclear threat. Vineet.
Mr. Lali, Gautam is absolutely right that this is a final frontier kind of a war that Israel and Iran are engaged in at this point in time. But the world largely is worried about a further escalation. The world largely is worried about who all will be roped in and who all will be affected as a result of this conflict, which is only escalating by the hour. Your take?
Thank you, Vineet. And Vineet, I also expressed this in one of your earlier programs, and at the risk of being repetitive, I would say that, it's a subterranean conflict. It's been going on for over 70 years now, And given the distance between the two countries and the size of their economies, I don't think this is going to last for too long. I'm not saying that this is going to die out. And since the jury is out on the American elections, so a lot would depend on what happens on the 5th of November. It's really a proxy war between even the United States and Iran. And Israel, as we know, is unconditionally backed. I mean, Israel says that their defense budget is 28 billion. I disagree. I think it's 900 billion because you have to add the American defense budget to it too. That's one. And two, Benjamin Netanyahu has been in the business long enough to know how Capitol Hill and the American way of politics works. He knew he had a window. I mean, this isn't, excuse me for saying, but this is a script being played out. Anthony Blinken is in Qatar and he's, trying to create exit strategies. And Benjamin Netanyahu knew how exactly America works. So he had this window to go out and they were playing good cop, bad cop, where they were giving him all sorts of bombs and all sorts of defense equipment, and yet the American president would come and say, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. So I think this is because they are so beholden to the Jewish lobby and of course the other reasons. So I feel that a lot would depend on the 5th of November, and it's not that easy. I mean, as Mr. Mukherjee rightly said, that it's not easy to either compel Iran to do away with their nuclear weapons or the regime change. Iran is too strong a country and too resilient a country. I mean, it's been there for long enough. And if Benjamin Netanyahu, which the Americans prevailed on him, if he would have chosen to attack, I mean, the entire world, the supply chains will go out the window. I mean, the way the oil reserves that it has, and especially if Iran chokes the two sea routes where 20% of the global shipping traffic happens, I mean, there goes the supply chain and the petroleum supplies. So I feel that maybe now is the time that it will be scaled down. And again, once again, it depends on who comes on the 5th of November will kind of directly influence how long this conflict is going to go.